All right, I'm down in Gainesville, Florida, and I'm with my good friend Chris Weatherman, who wrote the Going Home series and coming out with book 10.
Book 10, yeah. Like I said, I did a Facebook Live last night, and I did live because I like to give bad news in person. And so I screwed up, and so the ebook is scheduled to come out the 24th of this month, and it's on pre-order, and a lot of you guys have ordered it, and that's still on. But for those of you who like traditional old dead wood books, it might be out today. Now, by the time you guys see this, it will be out, but I think it goes live today. So I made a little goof up, but some people get to buy it early, that's all. But
well, now tell us, can you give us some...
Well, this book, unlike a lot of the other ones, I will say this book ends on a high note. It's in a good place when it ends, and a lot of questions get answered, but then, as is always the case in these things, there's a bunch of unanswered ones yet created. So right. throughout the process of this book. So there's still some unanswered things. It was kind of funny because I sent it to beta readers, and one of the guys is like, "You didn't resolve this and this." I'm like, yeah, that's for the next book. Right. You know, I mean, you can't answer everything in one book. You know, I mean, you could try, I guess, but there's a big event in this one that I think's pretty cool that people will appreciate. And if you pay attention in the book, you'll get the one and only time frame reference that's ever been made in the series so far about how much time has passed. It's one little sentence as an off comment, and let's see who all can catch it. So,
right.
Because people always ask, how long has it been? How long has it been? Well, I gave them a hint this time.
Well, now, one thing I want to ask you, and it's not really directly about the book, but it's about the series. I love how you really give a lot of practical things about, you know, pulling out real gear,
yep.
How you're doing your preps. A lot of times just how food's being prepared and
wild edibles.
Little things in there, but there's just so much that you can glean from it.
Well, I see writing in this genre twofold. One is, first and foremost, it's entertainment.
Right.
But at the same time, you've got the opportunity to present useful, valuable information. Now, when people are reading these books, they may not retain all that, or they might go, hey, that's a cool idea. But maybe someday down the future, they're going to be in a situation, and they're going to be, wait a minute, I remember something from the book. They might be able to go back and look it up and be like, I can do that.
Right.
That's going to fix this problem for me.
Right.
You know, or create an avenue of resource that you never imagined. You know, a lot of people talked about when I put kudzu in the books, the fact you could eat it. Most people had no idea you could eat the stuff. Right. And it grows all over the South. You guys, you know up where you're at.
We have kudzu.
Yeah. Well, you can eat the stuff, and so passing those kind of things along, it may make a difference for somebody someday, and that's really cool to be able to do. You know?
Well, you know, one of the big things that I like to talk about is improvising. And, you know, to me, a lot of times I may read something that you've done. I may not do it exactly, but it'll give me that idea in my back of my mind.
Exactly. And I don't claim to be an expert on anything.
Right.
You know, just a minute ago, we talked about expert. But I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of stuff I've done. I try a lot of things. I read a lot of stuff. I don't get to read fiction books like most people do because I'm usually reading other things.
Right.
And following stuff all over the globe too. Like the little window cooler thing I did in the last book with 2-liter bottles came from India.
Wow.
That's how I discovered that, through an NGO. And I thought, that's super cool. I did a lot of research on it, put it in the books. So just, you know, you never know what'll make a difference. And, you know, bringing these little skills to people. There's so many people now too, I noticed, that are coming to the idea of preparedness and self-reliance. Right. That they feel behind the curve. Right. And I'm just trying to push info out as best I can. And like your video, I'm not a YouTube content creator like you are. I couldn't even attempt to produce the amount of videos that you do, the quality of the information you put in them. But as an aggregate, we're all adding to that knowledge pool for everybody. Exactly. So, well, you know, and there's so much that's being put out there. I mean, from a lot of different directions. And a lot of it's product, a lot of it's marketing. Yeah. And I think a lot of times some of us, when we get a hold of it, I can't even keep up with it. Yeah. And I mean, I do this full time. Yeah, I know. And so I think it allows people, gives them a focus point. Yep. With certain ideas and certain things. Yep. And you know, like taking that, you know, with the bottles and you know, from India where it's real world. Oh yeah, it's real world because that's the only solution they have. You know. In the village where the first one was made, the average temperature is 110 degrees. So in their houses, it was like 120 degrees. You know, because 10 shacks and whatnot. Well, these things were at least knocking the temperature inside the homes down to match the outside temperatures. The average reduction was 10 degrees. So If it's 90 degrees and you do this on your house and it knocks it down 10 degrees, that's 80 degrees. That's comfortable.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Or if it's 96, like here in Florida, you knock it down to 86, at least you're under 90, it's still more comfortable.
Right.
So, and just add those little things, because you never know which piece or little nugget will be the one that somebody can rely on someday. So, and it's, for me, it's fun to do all that research and learn this stuff, because it's all piled up in my head now too. So.
Right, and then giving it out, because you know the thing is whether you use it or not. I mean, even in a hurricane situation.
Oh yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be the end of the world. It doesn't have to be you know, SHTF. Doesn't have to be, you know.
It can be the end of your world,
right?
Which is far more likely.
Right.
You know, you look at California right now. Look how many people's worlds are ending out there.
Right.
And those fires.
Yeah.
Look at what happened in Houston. How many people's worlds ended then?
Right.
Puerto Rico. I mean, you don't have to look far. It's, you know, we always joke about preparing for the end of the world because that's the high bar, right?
Right.
Well, if you fall short of that, you're still better prepared than the people who have done nothing.
Right.
You're still ahead of the game, ahead of the curve.
Right.
And you're going to require less resources in the event there is a crisis than those who are unprepared, which is why I do what I do. I don't want to be the guy waiting in line for a gallon of water.
Yeah.
Let somebody else have that who truly, I can get water, I have water.
Well, then you're at the mercy of whoever's getting you the water.
Exactly.
And the food.
Well, and you know, and you can go down that rabbit hole a little farther too, that food has always been a weapon too. Look in Somalia, look in Africa.
Right.
Food is very clearly a weapon over there.
Right.
Or the denial of food. So you can't, it's hard to suppress people who can support themselves.
Right.
When you have a dependent people, it's very easy to suppress them. Right. And so these ideas of self-reliance just gives you a little more freedom, a little more wiggle room, you know?
That's exactly right. You do a lot more choices.
Exactly. Choices.
So now, what's the name of the book again?
Homecoming is book 10, yeah.
Okay, so it's coming out, already out, and guys, by the time you see it,
it'll be out. So,
and I'm gonna tell you, if you've never read any of the Going Home series, I mean, it is, to me, one of the best that's been produced out there on that subject. And it's so much. There's so much practical.
Well, you got to look at too. When I got into this, there was like 1 second after, and there was Rawls.
Yeah.
And then there was like you had to go farther back in time to like Out of the Ashes, William Johnstone kind of stuff to find things like this. And then I fell into it. Now there's a lot of great authors out there now that are writing in it. The genre's blowing up. So there's a lot of content now. There wasn't all that much when I got started.
Right.
But I started it online, and like in Going Home, there's a lot of gear mentions. There's a lot of talk about product, because I was answering questions as I was writing it.
Right.
In that, and people ask a question, I would answer it in the story.
Right.
You know, and that's why all that was there, and that's been the driving force still to this day, because I get questions on YouTube or on Facebook and emailed to me and whatever, and I'll try to answer those. I'll give them a quick answer, but then I'll try to incorporate some of that stuff into the stories to give them an idea of how I see you could resolve that issue.
Right.
And like you said, it may not work for them, but it might get the wheels turned and be like, yeah, that's cool, but that doesn't quite work. But this would work, whereas they may not have had the idea.
Right.
So
right.
It's cool to put it all in there.
Well, and then too, you know, the lone wolf mentality is so it's so ridiculous, really. Yeah. And you know, I think that's one thing that you and I both are real strong about.
Absolutely.
Is community, building community. Yeah. And that's one of the things that you are strong about.
Yeah, you know, no man, no family is going to be an island. If things get bad enough, and it doesn't have to be a whole end of the world situation. Again, we could look back to like Houston, Katrina, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is a really good example of that. It's taking communities there right now to survive. Everybody working together, nobody can do it alone. And for all those people that think they're going to grab their bag and their rifle and they're going to run to the woods and they're going to live out there, you know, I've spent time living in the woods. It's not fun. It's very hard to do. And the woods are going to look like an REI yard sale. It's going to look like the Oregon Trail of old, of the chest of drawers that were thrown out of the wagons and the trunks and stuff because they just couldn't haul it no more. The woods are going to look like that, with people hauling all this stuff out there, and they're going to be ditching things because number one, they can't carry it, or they found out it was useless because they never took it out of their pack and it was still in the damn package when they left home with it. Something else I hate. There's going to be a lot of discarded gear.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of stuff laying around because everybody has the same idea, y'all. I'm going to go to the woods.
Right.
You and everybody else.
Well, it's you know, and that's the reason why we're doing what we're doing.
Exactly.
I know when I started my YouTube channel, especially with the survival side, it was mainly that, I mean, people were concerned. They were afraid.
Oh yeah.
And and I watched that, and while to me, the more knowledge they had, it seemed like the fear level would pan out.
Well, it's the fear of the unknown is where they start at.
Right.
and you see people that get into preparedness now, they're like, I just don't know where to start.
Right.
And we're standing in the Survival Dispatch studio today,
right.
and that's what Survival Dispatch is about. You know, right. you're part of the team here.
Excellent.
That's what we're trying to do here, is give you the starting point.
Right.
Break it down, make it simple, so it's not so overwhelming. And even your videos do that. My books do that. You know, we try to take away the anxiety of getting ready.
Right.
Because a lot of people are paralyzed by fear or indecision and don't even know where to start. Well, here's how you can start.
Right.
So.
And I think that's your books are a good start with that.
I appreciate it. I try. I'm just a redneck that tells a story.
Me too.
That's it.
So guys, check out Survival Dispatch Insider. I know I've mentioned this a number of times, but I do exclusive videos on there.
Yep.
Chris is a huge part of, and all the guys, John, that really are putting together just a phenomenal set of information.
It's a lot of information that we feel people need to have. And we're trying to bring it to you in comprehensive and understandable, you know, not a bunch of tactical lingo and all this stuff. And it's not always about the things as much as it is the skills and the knowledge, because you can buy things and that's easy. You got to learn skills and knowledge, and that takes a little more time.
Right.
So concentrate on those.
That's right. All right. I'll have all the links down below in the description on how to get the books. And again, guys, I just really want to encourage you to check out the whole Going Home series. And Chris, it was great.
Good to finally meet you.
Good to finally physically,
face to face. Yeah.
But be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic.